Welcome everybody to the first of many Friday philosophical breakdowns on success, mastery, and self-actualization. My name is Tyler Gord, and I'll be guiding you today through this session. First, I want to start off by thanking you for being here. You're doing this for yourself. Next, I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath through your nose. And exhale through your mouth deeply. And repeat that a few times. You can breathe out through your nose if you'd like. Just make sure that you inhale through your nose. Inhaling through your nose sends signals to your body that it's okay to relax. And sending signals, when you breathe through your mouth, you send signals that it's okay to do the opposite. When you breathe through your mouth, you send signals that it's necessary to do the opposite. So, I'd like to start off with some body scans. For anyone who's never done a body scan, it looks like you sitting here, or sitting in a chair, or getting somewhere where you can be comfortable and stationary for our time together. And once you're there and you find yourself rooted, you're going to start to become aware of your body. Maybe you already are in a very intense way. Maybe you have no body awareness, and this will be really beneficial for you. So, as you get settled and you start to become aware of your body, I want you to bring your attention to your feet. I want you to notice your toes. I want you to notice the bottoms of your feet, the tops of your feet, the way it feels, ankles. And I want you, if you're able to, squeeze your toes. Squeeze them as tight as you can. Squeeze up those foot muscles. Squeeze all the foot muscles. Bottom of the foot, the top of the foot. Squeeze and contract. Maximum tension, and everything else in your body is relaxed. But squeezing those toes, and then relax. Breathe completely into your feet. And relax. I'm going to do that one more time, and we're going to go all the way up our body, tensing and relaxing our muscles, one muscle group at a time. For the feet again, toes, the heel, the bottom of your foot, the top of your foot. We are now going to begin clenching and tensing and balling that area up. If you have any area that you cannot clench or tense, then disregard that area. For everyone following along, for every muscle group, we are on the feet, cleansing and tension, cleansing and tensing, clenching and tensing our feet. Relax. Breathing in relaxation, breathing out the tension. Moving on to our calves, we are going to contract, we are going to tense, we are going to tighten, we are going to tense, and we are going to relax. On the exhale is when you relax. Clench and tense, clench and tense, clench and tense. We are going to begin clenching and tensing the calves, clenching and tensing the calves, everything else in your body relaxed, focusing on the one area, the calves that are clenched and tensed. 1, 2, and on 3, we will inhale and then exhale relaxation into the calves. 3. Relax the calves. one time for the calves. We are going to inhale and tense. We are going to inhale and tense. We're going to tense those calves up again and relaxing everything else in the body as best we can, focusing on the calves, tensing, clenching, tensing in the calves only. And then on an exhale, we relax and breathe relaxation into that muscle group. Now, moving up. If you're sitting cross-legged like me, straighten if you want. We're going to clench our hamstrings. Clenching our hamstrings and our quads, moving up to the upper leg, up to the upper thigh. We're going to clench and tense our hamstrings and our quads, the back and the front. Quads being in the back, or the front, the hamstrings being in the back. So clenching our hamstrings in the back, clenching our quads in the front, upper thighs. And then on an inhale and an exhale, on the exhale, relax them. Those thighs are a big muscle group. So lots of tension capable of being stored there. Really focus on clenching and tensing and maximizing that tension. So inhale, let's go ahead and clench and tense those thighs again. Again, trying to relax everything else in the body. Clenching and tensing the thighs, clenching and tensing the front of your thighs and quads, to the back of your thighs and your hamstrings. And then on an inhale and an exhale, on the exhale, relax. Make sure we maintain some posture as we relax. Breathing deeply through our nose. Breathing just as deeply through our mouths or through our nose again on the exhale. Now we're moving to our glutes. Focus on those glutes and focus on tensing those glutes. We are tensing and clenching those glutes. You're just squeezing your butt cheeks, basically. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. And 3, 2, exhale, we relax. Breathe all that relaxation into that back glute, that posterior. And then on an inhale, we are back clenching and tensing just the glutes as best we can. We are focused on clenching and tensing the glutes and nothing else as best we can. 1, 2, 3, relax on an exhale. Breathing in relaxation, breathing out tension, releasing what does not serve you. Now moving our way up to our hips and our core. If you find yourself having trouble engaging your hips, it's okay, it's just fine. If you find yourself having trouble engaging any muscle group, it's okay. Practice bringing awareness. Practice bringing awareness to that muscle group and to all muscle groups. And we are clenching and tensing our abdominals, our lower back, and our hip flexors. That whole core area, we are flexing our core. We are flexing, constricting, tensing. And on 3, 2, we're still tense. Inhale and exhale, relaxation to the lower back, and the core, your obliques on the sides, those hip flexors in front. This whole core area, we're going to tense again. Again, the hip flexors, the abs in the front, the obliques on the sides, and the lower back. We are tensing that whole core area, getting it real tight and to stabilize the rest of our body, because that's where all the stabilization happens. But like every other body part, 3, 2, 1, relax. Pull, exhale. Breathing in relaxation. Breathing out tension. Now we're going to move up to our chest. We're going to tense our chest muscles and focusing on just the chest muscles as best we can. Focusing on those chest muscles and clenching and tensing, everything else relaxed. In 3, 2, release chest. If you need a good little massage, any part, feel free to get it activated. If you start getting any sort of cramps, get some water or massage it out, some electrolytes, some sodium in your system. And we're gonna clench again. We are clenching that chest muscle and those chest muscles. In 3, 2, and inhale. Exhale, release. Moving on to the upper back. We're going to find our way there. Bring our attention to the upper back. And begin clenching and tensing it as well. Clenching and tensing the upper back. You think about yourself doing a pull-up almost. You'd be clenching those lats, clenching those shoulder blade muscles, scapula, be pulled back, retracted. And 3, 2, relax. I hold a lot of tension there, so that I got a lot of it out last night, but still, there's a lot always to be had. These body scans. Going back to the upper back, clenching and tensing those lats, retracting the scapula, relaxing everything else in your body, just focusing on that upper back, tensing and clenching all the muscles of that upper back, getting all the stress in one place. To then on an exhale, be released. Now moving on to the shoulders. We're going to raise our shoulders and clenching them. Bring them to your ears as much as you can, clenching and tensing those shoulders from the front to the back to the sides, and as much tension gathered as you can in one place, just in the shoulders. And on the exhale, breathe out. Release those tension. Release that tension in the shoulders that you accumulated and depress them. Get them as far away from the ears as possible. Everything in your body relaxed. Deep breaths through the nose. Now we're going to go back to the shoulders. Shrugging and clenching and tensing. Shrugging and clenching and tensing. Shrugging, clenching, tensing. 3, 2, 1. Whenever you're ready on the exhale, relax. Those shoulders and depress. Move away from the ears. Moving on to the neck. So that's very, unlike the upper back where there's a big muscle group, and like those thighs where there's big muscle groups, the neck is much smaller. So it's often neglected. But we're not going to neglect it, are we? No, we're not. We're going to focus our attention on our neck. And we're going to clench and tense. It's going to sound like this when I talk, because even though I'm trying to relax everything else in my body, my neck is really tense because you're supposed to get as tense as possible. That's where I'm talking from. Making sure that you're breathing in deep. The final clench and tense, and then exhaling all of that tension that you're accumulating up, releasing it all. We're going to go one more more time at your own pace on the next so that I don't sound so weird talking. I can try to focus my own attention on clenching just my neck. Remember, as you go through the body scans, you're clenching one muscle group at a time. If I pair some muscle groups together for convenience sake and for coordination's sake, that's that, but you're still focusing on one group at a time. Focusing on clenching and tensing your neck, getting as much tension there as you can before you release. At your own pace. Deep breaths. Moving on to the face muscles, the ears, your scalp. I think it's like the lemon, maybe. Relax. Maximum tension on the inhale when you're tensing, and maximum release on the exhale when you're releasing. You're breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Last body scan muscle group clench for the session. Before we move on, we're going to again face muscles, the ears, the scalp. You're going to clench on your own time, and then when you get maximum tension, releasing on an exhale. You may find yourself not breathing because when you're clenching all those muscles in your face, your nostrils aren't flaring out to take in new air. So all that tension in your face is then being concentrated. That's okay. When you relax, make sure you're taking a deep breath. Allow your rib cage to expand. Your belly to expand. And if you've closed your eyes like me, gently opening them, bringing your attention back to the world around you. Thanking yourself for going about relaxing yourself. Because on a physiological level, there's a lot of benefit to what we just did. And on a psychological level, and on an emotional level, there's a lot of benefit to what we just did. You may have noticed as you went through and did the body scans that certain muscle groups relaxed and you unlocked certain memories, certain emotional memories, certain scenes in your head, We store our experiences. For anyone who's ever heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score, you know that, or maybe you've heard of the book and don't know what it's about, but the body registers experiences and we remember those experiences and we can lock them away and forget that they're there. Forget to work on things that need to be worked through. And sometimes doing body scans helps. Let's remember that. So today I want to talk about self-awareness. Who are you? That's the question of the day. And it's one of the most profound questions I've ever been asked. When I was 18 years old and I was a senior in high school, I had a project where I was asked, who are you, in a sociology class. And at first I thought it was a stupid question because I thought I knew the answer, arrogantly. And I said, my name is Tyler, I'm a football player, I'm a student, like my son, what do you mean, who am I? And then I was asked, well, Is Tyler the only thing that people call you? No. I got little nicknames and stuff like that. Okay. So Tyler's not the end all be all of who you are and what you are. Touche. When you cease to play football, do you cease to exist? Nope. When I step off the football field, I'm still there. So you're more than a football player. Touche again. I came to realize that the roles that I was playing and the labels that I identified myself with were very limited in describing who I am. And so pursuing the answer to who am I led me down a path that led to what ultimately became what I call my moment of enlightenment. Enlightenment is a continually unfolding thing, an experience, revelations, whatever you call it. But for me, there was an anchor dropping moment. And that anchor dropping moment happened as the result of a long, relatively about a year, long spiritual journey that started with that question, who am I? And so I want to pose that same question to you. Who are you? And I want to help guide you, maybe with some deductive reasoning, without imposing an answer by any means, and see if I can't help you guide you to a answer. See if I can't help guide you to a better answer than the ones that I came up with. Because maybe you came up with your name too. Maybe you came up with some roles that you play too. And maybe you realized how limited those are in describing and identifying the essence of you. Maybe you want to go deeper. And that's what this is for. It's for those who want to go deeper so that they can go further. I went to New Orleans. Before we dive into that, I want to talk just a quick side note story. When I went to New Orleans for my little brother's bachelor party, we were out on a swamp boat tour. And the guy who was there said, he was referring to a particular tree that grows in the swamp. And he was saying that the tree's branches can extend as far out as the roots do underneath. And I thought that was a beautiful metaphor for life and for humans and for success in general. The more deeply rooted you are in the field of potential of, I'm now getting into the deeper elements, and that's what you signed up for. But the more deeply rooted you are in reality, the more deeply rooted you are in the soil of creation, the further you can go. And the more deeply rooted you are, the more aware of yourself generally you are. They sort of go hand in hand, because deeper awareness will reveal yourself to you. And starting off shallow like I did is how we all do, right? We start off, even the wisest of us, with labels, because that's what we're given. Because before labels, there's just presence. When babies come out of the womb, they don't respond to those names yet. They haven't been conditioned to identify with that as me. They haven't begun to say, this is who I am. But they're still there. So who they are is there before the name, is there before they identify with it, it's there before they identify with the body. What is that? When we were doing those body scans, what was going to each muscle group? Attention. You were sending attention to each muscle group. I posit to you that attention is the essence of who and what you are. The attention is always there. The awareness, as unconditioned as it may be, as unskilled as it may be in operating the body, the awareness is still there. When you look into the eyes of a baby, there's awareness looking back at you. There's not a name identified, experience, memory identified, ego engaging with you. It's just pure awareness. That's how we all start out. And then we all put labels onto this awareness. Experiences get remembered. The body keeps score. And we rack up an identity. It starts with identification with this. It starts with identification with a name. Begins to expand with identifications with relationships to people, places, things, my toys, my parents, my home, my city. It just expands. And the awareness starts to identify with this and associate the relationships with possessions. So we think that this is mine because I, as a relationship, I, as awareness, have a relationship with it. Possession is a very tricky thing because what do any of us truly possess? What does it mean to possess something? To own it? Even the philosophical nature of owning something is something that gets debated in law because it's not always so clear-cut ownership. When you look at your own body, some people can't even manage their own bodies. The impulses, you don't have control over when it gets shut off. You don't have control over when you take your last breath necessarily unless you take your own life. That kind of begs the question, how much do you really own and possess any of this? You're experiencing it. You're aware of it. You have a relationship to it. And to some degree, this body is more mine than anyone else's. I could say this body is mine. Temporarily. The nature of any possession is temporary. The nature of all human experience is temporary. But when you look at awareness, the awareness is not a tangible thing. When a human being dies, the body is still there. The tangible aspect of a human is still there. The intangible being aspect that animated that body, that's what we can no longer perceive animating that body anymore. And where does that go? Well, where does anything that's not tangible in time and space go? What do I mean when I talk about this field of reality or the soil of creation? It's the same field of possibility that Deepak Chopra talks about in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, that ancient traditions have talked about in many different ways, and that I'm talking about here now. We all are born out of nothingness. You know a thing by its opposite. So you know all things by the nothingness that it is born out of, that they're born out of. That's pretty deep, right? That's profound to know, or to consider, rather, that you are an emanation, a product, as it were, of infinite potential. If you want to think about it like a big bang, the possibility of all things not physicalized being made manifest into all things physicalized. It's pretty mind-blowing. It's hard to wrap your mind around as a human because it's beyond a human experience. But to the extent that it can intersect with the human experience, because I have a brain and I can experience thoughts because of the brain activity that's happening. I can feel ways about that. That allows me the opportunity to experience this life. Allows me to experience all these things. As many things as I get to experience. And that is the beginning of self. So I got led there. Like I said, the sociology class had proposed the question to me, who are you? And when I came up with insufficient answers, then I was looking deeper. Concurrently, at the same time, I was being exposed to another condition called congenital insensitivity. Well, a condition, not another condition, because I didn't bring up a condition before. But a condition called congenital insensitivity. And when you break the words down, congenital means by birth. Insensitivity refers to the fact that these people cannot feel touch. At most, some maybe feel a sense of pressure. But in general, people with congenital insensitivity do not feel touch. The medical danger of congenital insensitivity and not feeling touch is that pain is an indicator of something being wrong. So when a person who can't feel touch, can't feel themselves get gashed or burned or do something to themselves that requires medical attention, there's danger that that goes much further without the medical attention that they need. So when I was researching this condition that I had been assigned to me, I was really curious about the nature of religion. Alongside the nature of self, I was really curious about the nature of Christian religion that I came up in and the language that the Bible used, particularly to describe heaven and hell. And talking about lakes of fire and gnashing of teeth, and on the hell side, and then on the heaven side, streets paved with gold and milk and honey and stuff. And so when I'm thinking about people with congenital insensitivity, and I'm saying congenital insensitivity, if you were born not being able to feel pain, what would a lake of fire mean to you? Nothing. What would gnashing of teeth mean to you? Absolutely nothing. You could bite through your tongue, it would mean nothing to you. You could knock your own teeth out. It wouldn't mean anything to you. So it wouldn't induce any fear. And then on the opposite side, I started thinking, well, maybe if we're talking literal, how great is milk and honey? Like, I got that here. I don't even like those like that. At the time, it wasn't even my favorite, like, flavors and stuff. I'm like, what? Is this real? Is the language supposed to be literal? Because if it is, how do I make sense of these contradictions, these things that don't line up? And then it's supposed to all come from this all-knowing God, and like, just a lot of problems here. And so I went deeper into looking and deeper into researching, was reading the Bible, was asking questions of people about all sorts of things. I got into this meditation class where one of the first things that we did was the body scans that I just went through with you at the top of this session. And the meditation class taught a different meditation technique every class. And the professor would always have a different allegory, some sort of story before the technique. And then he would just do the technique and we'd be done. It was story, technique, done. Very simple, but I always got a lot from it. And people thought that the guy was weird, but I was like, I don't think he's weird. I get it. Like, I understand I'm picking up what he's putting down before it hits the ground. So I go up to him one day after class and I say, what religion do you practice? And I'll never forget his answer. He said verbatim, and this was 17 years ago. He said verbatim, I practice with a metaphysical Christian group that makes reference to Jesus in the Bible but doesn't claim him as the only path to God. And I said, wow, that's extremely interesting. What do you believe about heaven and hell? And he said that we believe that Jesus preached a heaven and hell in the here and now. And I was floored. Like the floodgates opened up for me. I immediately understood intuitively that the answer to the question, who am I, had never been truly capable of being put into words. Awareness, consciousness, whatever words you wanted to assign to the invisible perceiver of the experience. Like I just put the words invisible perceiver of experience to it. It's always a finger pointer to something that you can't touch, you can't see in your mind's eye as a thought, you can't experience as a feeling. Why? Because it is the experiencer of all of those vessels of stimuli, reception. Because that's what a body is. It's a receiver. It's an antenna to receive stimuli. You receive stimuli, you download it, you interpret it, and then you act based on your interpretations. Something happens to you, you assess it, you conclude things about it, you act accordingly to those assessments, to those conclusions. And it's just a repeating thing. The brain is a pattern recognizing machine. Things happen to you, patterns recur, you recognize them, you adapt. That's how species evolve. As I went further into this, because this blew my mind, right? Like I said, realizing now is eternity. Now is forever. I'm never outside of now. The past happened in the now. I can only recall it in the now. The future I can think about in the now, and it will only unfold as the present. And this moment now will be past, and past in the sense that it happened in the present, and I'll only be able to recall it in the present. Never am I ever outside of the present. Never is ever is anyone, is awareness outside of the present moment. And then I started thinking about the nature of heaven and hell, and I said, well, it could be all three of these physical, mental, and emotional layers. Heaven and hellish could be milk and honey if you were starving in the fucking desert in the time of the Bible when it was written. Milk and honey might have been not as plentiful and not as easily accessible, and the idea of having something sweet was extremely palatable. It's extremely enticing. Made you want it. And the idea of getting burned with fucking fire, for anybody who doesn't have congenital insensitivity, which is most people, it's an effective tool to put fear into someone to not want something to happen. So, understanding that and going forward with these revelations, I was able to study myself, study the world around me, study the authorship of a number of different writers, and thankfully people like Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and Robert Greene and all the other authors whose work I consumed and have consumed along my path, but consumed in college, really set the foundation for this mindset coaching program that I am working on the infrastructure of online, but have put together and is ready for anyone who wants to use it to put it to good use. It helped get me from not knowing what I wanted to do after I realized that football was not the end all be all for me, and it wasn't the only thing that I was interested in, and not knowing what else I wanted to do. It helped guide me from that all the way through not being able to pay rent after college, despite having multiple jobs. I was working and having to juggle all sorts of struggles that came at me despite my best efforts and intentions. And for better or for worse, I took all those and turned them into lessons. I took all those and turned them into wins. And in my own mind, I've never lost. I've only ever won. I'm undefeated in life because I've turned everything into a lesson or an outright win. And I invite you to do the same. I invite you to practice these body scans on the regular. I invite you to ask yourself the question, who am I? And if the answers that I've given here don't suffice for you, to comment and tell me, and let's talk about it. And I also want to leave you with a little bit of homework. Don't trip out. It's not anything that you need to write down, or it's not anything that is too daunting. It's awareness. I want you to practice awareness of any habits, any habitual responses that you have. Don't try to manipulate it. Don't judge it. Don't try to stop it. If you go about your day and you realize that you have a habit of something, just become aware of it. And we all have habits, right? But like my thing, for example, when I first did this was I realized that whenever I would drop something, I'd say, damn it. And I didn't really know why. Like I said, you're not supposed to judge it. That was the way the homework was given. And I realized that it came from my upbringing. I hear my parents say things like that when something happened that they didn't want to have happen. And so, in just becoming aware of it, the question came to me, can I cut that part out? Like, not that I'm against cussing, but does it matter? Like, does it help me? Because maybe I would get, like, I raise my blood pressure. I also noticed that the word isn't just the only thing coming out. Like, I get a little tense about it. And I noticed not only did the word, as I asked myself that question and I started to become more aware, the habitual response started to become weeded out of me just by being aware that I had it. And then a lot of times I would respond better and more effectively. So say I would have usually said damn it to something dropping. Rather than say damn it, I used to play wide receiver. I got pretty quick hands and good reflexes and stuff. I would catch whatever it was going to drop. Like, that's happened a lot. Like, I rarely end up dropping things around me because I'm very quick to go catch something. And that happened a lot when I would cut out the damn it and go straight to solving the issue. I guarantee you there's something in your life that you're doing habitually that is getting in the way massively of something that you want. And if you can just become aware of yourself and your habits, you will find it most likely. And you will be able to get rid of it and go so much further. If you would like help with any of this and with more, with your fitness goals and nutrition goals, I'm here and I would love to help you. Let's tackle 2025 together, y'all.